The similarities are not only very clear, but I think the two people, the man who destroyed Germany with German fascism and the man who's going to destroy the United States with American fascism, are about the same. Their attitudes, their rhetoric, their ability to stir up crowds. And since we're so close to this, let me give you some of the characteristics of pure fascism, because I have a feeling we're really on the cusp of it in this country. Number one, powerful and continuing expressions of nationalism. From the prominent displays of flags and bunting to the ubiquitous lapel pins, the fervor to show patriotic nationalism both on the part of the regime itself and of citizens caught up in its frenzy, catchy slogans, pride in the military, demands for unity, common themes, coupled with the suspicion of things foreign that often bordered on xenophobia. Number two, disdain for the importance of human rights. Fascists view human rights as of little value and a hindrance to realizing the objectives of the ruling elite. Through clever use of propaganda, the population is brought to accept human rights abuses by marginalizing, even demonizing those being targeted. And when abuse was so egregious, it had to be hidden. The tactic was to use secrecy, denial, and disinformation. Number three, identification of enemies or scapegoats as a unifying cause. The most significant common thread in fascist regimes is the use of scapegoating as a means of diverting the people's attention from other problems, to shift blame for failures, to channel frustration in controlled directions. The methods of choice, relentless propaganda and disinformation, are usually effective. It's easy to incite so-called spontaneous acts against the targeted scapegoats, who are usually communists, socialists, liberals, Jews, ethnic and racial minorities, traditional national enemies, members of other religions, secularists, homosexuals, and terrorists. Opponents of a fascist regime are inevitably labeled as terrorists and dealt with accordingly. Number four, the supremacy of the military, coupled with avid militarism. Ruling elites always identify closely with the military and the industrial infrastructure that supports it. A disproportionate share of national resources is allocated to the military, even when domestic needs are acute. The military is seen as an expression of nationalism and is used whenever possible to assert national goals, intimidate other nations, and increase the power and prestige of the ruling elite. Number five, rampant sexism. Beyond the simple fact that the political elite and the fascist national culture is male-dominated, regimes inevitably view women as second-class citizens. They are adamantly anti-abortion and homophobic, and these attitudes are usually codified in draconian laws that enjoy strong support by the orthodox religion of the country, thus lending the regime cover for its abuses. Number 6, a controlled mass media. In a fascist regime, the mass media are under strict direct control and can be relied upon never to stray from the party line. Other regimes exercise more subtle power to ensure media orthodoxy. Methods include the control of licensing, access to resources, economic pressure, appeals to patriotism, and implied threats. In the past, in countries that were under fascist control, the leaders of the mass media were often politically compatible with the power elite. The result was usually success in keeping the general public unaware of the regime's excesses. Number 7, obsession with national security. Inevitably, a national security apparatus is under direct control of the ruling elite. It is an instrument of oppression, operating in secret, beyond any constraints. Its actions are justified under the rubric of protecting national security, and questioning its activities is portrayed as unpatriotic or even treasonous. Number 8, religion and the ruling elite are tied together. Unlike communist regimes, fascist and proto-fascist regimes are never proclaimed as godless by their opponents. In fact, most of the regimes that were fascist attached themselves to the predominant religion of the country and chose to portray themselves as militant defenders of that religion. The fact that the ruling elite's behavior was incompatible with the precepts of the religion was generally swept under the rug. Propaganda kept up the illusion that the ruling elites were defenders of the faith and opponents were godless. A perception was manufactured that opposing the power elite was the same as an attack on religion. Number 9, power of corporations is protected. In fascist regimes, the personal life of ordinary citizens is under strict control. However, the ability of large corporations to operate in relative freedom is not compromised. The ruling elite see the corporate structure as a way to not only ensure military production, but also as an additional means of social control. Members of the economic elite are pampered by the political elite to ensure a continued mutuality of interests, especially in the repression of the so-called have-not citizens, the poor. Number 10, the power of labor is suppressed or eliminated. Since organized labor is seen as the one power center that can challenge the political hegemony of the ruling elite and its corporate allies, labor power is inevitably crushed or made powerless. The poor formed an underclass viewed with suspicion or outright contempt. Under some fascist regimes, being poor is considered akin to a vice. Number 11, disdain and suppression of intellectuals and the arts. Intellectuals and the inherent freedom of ideas and expression associated with them are anathema to fascist regimes. Intellectual and academic freedom are considered subversive to national security. Universities are tightly controlled, politically unreliable faculty harassed or eliminated, unorthodox ideas or expressions of dissent are strongly attacked, silenced, or crushed. To a fascist regime, art and literature should serve the national interest or they have no right to exist. Number 12, obsession with crime and punishment. Most of the fascist regimes maintain draconian systems of criminal justice with huge prison populations. The police are often glorified and have almost unchecked power, which leads to rampant abuse. Normal, so-called, and political crime are often merged into trumped-up criminal charges and sometimes used against political opponents of the regime. Fear and hatred of criminals or so-called traitors is often promoted among the population as an excuse for even more police power. Number 13, rampant cronyism and corruption. Those in business circles and close to the power elite use their position to enrich themselves. This corruption works both ways. The power elite receives financial gifts and property from the economic elite, who in turn gain the benefit of government favoritism. Members of the power elite are in a position to obtain vast wealth from other sources as well. For example, by stealing national resources. With the national security apparatus under control and the media muzzled, this corruption is largely unconstrained and not well understood by the general population. Number 14, fraudulent elections. Elections in the form of plebiscites or public opinion polls are usually bogus. When actual elections are held, they would usually be perverted by the power elite to get the desired result. Common methods include maintaining control of the election machinery, intimidating and disenfranchising opposition voters, destroying or disallowing legal votes, and as a last resort, turning to a judiciary beholden to the power elite. 14, defining characteristics of fascism. Now, the astonishing thing is how many of those are already either in play in this country or in control of this country. If we had a truly independent and responsible media instead of this corporate stew of pretty faces and high-paid pundits, if we had a real independent media, this would be all over every day, everywhere, warning the American people of what was happening. What was happening, for Christ's sake. But we don't have that kind of a media. We just don't have it. So they sit there behind their desks, especially on primary night or election night, pontificating about this and deciding that and saying, oh my, and okay, look at there, and well, that one's going to win, that one's going to lose, that one dropped out. In the meantime, the fucking country is being devoured, just devoured, eaten alive. Who gives a shit whether Marco Rubio drops out or not? Who cares about Ted Cruz and his religious fascism? Why aren't media in this country proclaiming as often as they can, while they still can, that we are going directly into fascism? There are no side roads here. Do you not see that? Go to your Google or whatever and type in the 14 defining characteristics of fascism. And print them off and tape them someplace in your house. Make copies. Hand them out to everybody you know. Since we don't have a media that's going to alert us. Jesus, God, it's just unbelievable what is going on. But it is going on. It is going on, isn't it? Huh?